Greetings, Sanbonani, Dumelanye, Absheni, hello out there once again. It's your boy Akay back again with another episode of The Real Talk with Akay. And on this one, Ziabuya man. Because we'll be focusing on like prostitution as a professional industry. Like we're gonna be taking a look at some of the factors that go hand in hand with like being a sex worker, like how it affects society in general. So like I have my co-host here, Mr. Muela, and then we have so coming back once again. But I'll let her do her own introduction because maybe there might be some changes. You know, life has this tendency of taking us to places. Hobbies, especially Matsatsia. So, my lady, over to you.
Hi, I'm Tisetso Masingi, and I'm still the same person. Nothing's changed.
Except for the glasses, of course.
Yes, I have glasses now, yes, but I'm still the same person.
No, welcome to the show.
Welcome back. So, guys, just to kick off like the show, like let me just find out from y'all guys, over like from your own perspective or your own view, do you think that prostitution should be categorized as a professional industry?
It's a very thought-provoking question.
Exactly.
And it makes you think. I think I'm thinking because I'm a dude, from a dude's perspective. Should it be professionalized? If it is professionalized, it's going to endorse one thing that we are currently battling the most, which is human trafficking.
Yeah.
That means you can take someone out of their will to come and work for you without proper care or anything like that. And the professionalizing of this thing just makes things worse. I think during biblical times it became a professional thing, like pimping was the thing. And even in the 1980s, pimps had to wear a certain outfit and attire during the time. Exactly. So now, by professionalizing it, we are endorsing one thing and actually destroying the morality that we should be sustaining. Because in our society, I think we're losing more and more morality than we actually are imparting to our kids. But I don't know. Maybe my lady has got a different perspective in terms of the thing.
Well, I think that it could, and probably it would be, like it could become an industry that is now a professional career. We just don't know if it's a sustainable career long term. And it also pours into something that we're also fighting, which is gender-based violence. And because it pushes the narrative that, you know, sex is just this thing, that it's in our society already, sex is made to be this big thing that, you know, women are supposed to take a part of, so are men, and that we should engage in sex and we should do it. Like if you don't, then you're not cool, and now the sexualization of women is going to be so amplified that, you know, just because we don't even know that if you make it an actual profession, how would you tell out rape in that case? Because if now a man rapes me, right? He sleeps with me, and then let's just say he leaves money on the side. He paid for a certain service. Just because the act itself or the profession itself, what would make it a bond would be a verbal agreement, right? The profession itself would be, unless if you mean now clients are going to have to sign contracts and. But I don't see that happening.
That's a long process.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's be honest, guys. Let's be honest. I'm speaking from a guy's perspective. I have this thing that's called a man doesn't kiss and tell. And I think we had this conversation. Yes, I think we had this conversation prior to the conversation.
Yeah.
And which is, if I, as Mufeni, actually bought a prostitute, am I really going to drag a mic and a speaker and be like,
Yeah, some niggas.
I got
do
laid by a prostitute.
that.
Like. Okay, some niggas may do that, but then the question becomes, dude. I mean, to some guys are gonna be like, dude, you definitely don't have game. You can't even.
Depends.
It
It depends.
a single girl.
It depends. It kind of depends
your
on
own-
where, like, you went. For instance, Eric Ochelet's example, then there are certain places like Eleni by Krugersdorp.
Classic. Okay.
And then Honale Johannesburg. Sami. And then there's King Majestic. Or compare a standard, this is a cylinder. So once you get Summit, you know that place has class and where the baller and everything, like you find millionaires and everything inside there. When I come back, I'll be like, that's what Summit, buffet. You know how that thing goes.
I think that's actually you guys are saying to me as a woman, in a sense, if I am this modern day 21st century woman, in a sense, you want to tell me what I can and can't do with my body. And that would actually even push me to want to push the narrative of this thing being, you know, yeah.
And I think that's why, like, this whole thing came to be, like,
yeah.
because, like, that's where it started, like, you can't tell me what to do with my body,
Exactly.
because when I was busy doing, like, my preparation, there were
Yeah.
articles that were like that when they were interviewing some of the sex workers in the field, you know.
Yeah.
Like, okay, some of them will be like, nah, it's my body.
Yeah.
And now you can't tell me what to do with my body. For instance, right now we have women telling us that as men, we can't be telling them how to dress.
Yeah.
Like the short or the tight.
Yeah.
Like, you know, back in the days how it was. So that's the thing.
Yes, I think that's what I'm trying. The idea is to not hypersexualize women. Because the more you make us these sexual objects in society, the harder you make it for us to live. And the harder you make it for us to live, the more we want to rebel against whatever you guys have to say. Regardless of it being, you know, for my benefit or not. Because keep in mind, even if this becomes a professional industry, it is not to empower females. If anything, it takes away from a female. Because a female's body, keeping in mind that there are male prostitutes, okay?
Yeah.
But, you know,
Male escorts.
yes,
They are
and
called male
prostitutes.
escorts.
And prostitutes. There are male prostitutes in this world. Men that sell their bodies that women pay men. No. It happens. It's not something that is spoken on.
Yeah.
And it's something that it's frowned
Go
upon.
to the
No one
Babs,
really.
my man, if you want to say such people.
But here's the thing, guys. Let's be honest. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I think at some point I have to play this role, and it's primarily because it I think it's going to enhance this entire conversation. Mm-hmm. Let's look at the sex trade in general. There was the other time I was actually looking at when Akay asked me that we're going to do this topic of professionalizing prostitution and all these things. And I'm like, I'm going to have to do some research. It's going to be completely awkward, but I'm just going to do it so that everybody understands what's going on at the helm of things. Number one, when it comes to sexual objects and toys, can't believe I'm going to say this.
It's a free platform.
Yeah, but it's completely awkward for me to say this. But okay, I'm just going to say it. Sexual toys. The porn industry itself. And all these things. Who makes a lot of money? If you're talking about prostitution, yeah? That's another level of prostitution on its own.
It's porn.
It's porn, yes.
Porn industry makes almost like $1 billion every year.
But who makes money between men and women the most?
It's women.
Let's be honest. It's women.
It's women, but if we look into the topic itself, it says prostitution being professionalized.
Right,
It's
being
not
professionalized.
female prostitution.
Right.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And we're talking about a general sense of prostitution, right?
It's another story. Being a porn actress, it's another story.
Exactly.
It's considered a career, that one.
Yeah.
It is
This
considered
one,
as a career.
Prostitution, it's still more like we are still in the process of legalizing it
Yeah.
as a country.
Now, this is where I'm getting at. The moment these sorts started mentioning this thing of, and I'm going to quote her, my body. Here's a dude paying cash. I'm going to go back to this topic because we then concluded we didn't conclude it the way we did.
Okay.
We didn't conclude it well enough.
Okay.
There's a dude paying money, and I'm sure there's some real talkers out there that probably share the same sentiment. Okay, I'm not sharing the same sentiment, but I'm just playing devil's advocate.
He is. Asal Shasha. He is.
Yes.
Yo.
Here's a dude paying money to acquire service. And in layman's terms, who's always right? The person providing the service or the customer?
My customers.
The
Nah,
customer
that
is
only
always
applies
right.
to when you walk.
Even service. Even service. So here's a guy paying money, and he's like, Shaysa Mistratur, until the agreement of the man.
Like I
Can I
said.
just say something?
Okay?
Okay. First of all, okay, we need to dial back to that. We said prostitution is it's an exchange, right?
Yes.
You give me
A
money.
mutual agreement.
Yes, you give me money, I give you sex.
Uh-huh.
Right? On what terms? That is determined before the payment. Because there are some men who like to be very aggressive, and you'll find that me, I don't want that, I don't dwell in that, I don't.
Dominance.
Yeah, like dominance, you wanna just do very odd things that you don't do to your wife. So you'd rather do them with me. And I wouldn't agree to that. So
Okay.
it's just like a till operator. Fine, let's pick a career that people know. A till operator, she gets paid, she has a salary. Her service, it's her service. They pay her to perform good customer service and to work behind the till. The abuse that comes from customers is not part of her contract. Exactly. So you can't subject me to that just because you're a customer. I am not told in my contract that if you come now and start swearing at me and I'm supposed to stand there and take it just because.
Now, let's be realistic here. We've come across a number of cases, even in South Africa, where women were actually abused, some were actually killed, and majority of the time when the call is on abuse and rape, it's from prostitutes. The entire environment on its own, it's completely hostile.
You know,
Let's look at the hostility of...
like when usually like sex workers tend to cry like with like rape cases, it's usually when the client is refusing to pay. That's when they start involving the law. If they're not doing that, the bouncers will move you.
Yes,
because it's statutory rape.
Yeah.
Remember, there is statutory rape. So
Yeah.
if you say to me, I am going to pay for a certain service, and then
You
I
had
go
a
and
verbal
give
agreement with this
and then I
person.
give you the service, and then you don't pay me the money that we agreed on, it's statutory rape. It's just like an old man acting like he loves a young girl, starts buying her things so that she feels like she owes him, and she ends up giving into that. It's statutory rape.
I understand that,
So-
but let's get to the point, guys. And this is the point that I'm still playing devil's advocate, which is, in a situation like that, let's be honest,
Yeah.
prostitution or sex world is not renowned for subtlety.
Yeah.
You mentioned something in saying that some people tend to be aggressive. It is primarily because it is not well known for subtlety. When I get there, I'm under the notion that I can do whatever it is that I want because I'm paying for it.
But making it a profession is going to have to change that entire narrative. You understand what I mean?
Because once
I will have a firm that is decent of prostitutes.
Okay.
Right? And then there's a certain way that my customers are supposed to behave, and a certain way
and they'll
that
be
my-
protected by
and they'll be
the
protected.
employment.
Employment Equity Act
Yeah,
and.
Okay.
So it changes the entire narrative of how
So-
the customer now has to behave
Guys,
around the world.
I have like this question, Anna. Right now, there's this culture, of like gold diggers, laces, and slay queens, ice boys, and so forth. And so like, I want to find out because there's this argument, the whole like, okay, when someone is a gold digger, they are not a sex worker. But someone might come right now and say like, these things are still the same thing. Because at the end of the day, money is being taken out. and then you are being bought these expensive things in return for what? In exchange for what? For sex.
That's the difference between a gold digger and a prostitute. A gold digger could literally dig gold and not give anything.
So she's dishonest.
It's gold digging. There is no other
Yes,
way.
like Ransha.
Yeah, basically, I can finesse you into doing things for me. I don't even have to give you anything. I could pat your head and you would give me whatever. That's the difference. There's prostitution and there's that. As far as the blessees, and I'm not very well informed about that industry. I really made the decision to not engage in that whole conversation. But in a sense, it is like high end.
But it's still the same thing.
Yeah, it's like high end
sometimes,
prostitution.
like this kind of relationships, it's more like, okay, I might be married, and then Javaya, no, I have like, okay, maybe that I'm dating that 18 slave queen. When I get there, 1 round, 2 round, 3 round, after that, see 5,000, I'm gone. So what's the difference there? Like, okay, me going to like a hookah and then paying that $50.
Going back to the book that we were talking about prior to the conversation, which is the manipulated man. But okay.
It is not the manipulated man. It is the self. No.
It is.
No. I think you guys give women too much credit to a certain extent. Just because you cannot control your sexual urges, you want to make that a woman's fault. You're not the manipulator. If you are the manipulated man, you manipulate yourself.
How?
Because if I'm a woman, okay, let's go back to the conversation. If I am a woman, right? I am a high-end woman. I'm living my life. I live this expensive lifestyle, or I make it seem like this is the life.
Okay, wait, sustain by
I get it. No, let me finish.
Okay.
So I'm portraying a certain lifestyle, right? I'm an LV girl, whatever. Expensive brands, this, that, and the other. You see that, you like that, you approach me. How did I manipulate you into doing that? I didn't. I was being myself, and you came. You said, you know what? I like that. I want to go for that. It's just like buying shoes. If you look at a pair of sneakers
Who has ever been inside a strip club in here? Buffett? Ruth? There's
Actually.
Okay, like okay, the point that you're trying to make, like that's the question, like that's why I'm asking this question.
Yes.
It's because when you're inside,
Yeah.
I can get there like, okay, Pella, inside the strip club they also sell booze. I can be there like I want booze.
Yeah.
But that sex worker there, that hooker, might end up manipulating me into buying. You know how that goes.
If she comes to you.
That's okay.
It's different. Can we please isolate these two scenarios?
Why?
I am a woman. Because I am a woman
Okay.
in a coffee store with my LV bag filled with flowers, drinking my cappuccino with my 32-inch Brazilian. The wind is blowing through my hair, my nails are long, everything looks great, my makeup is... I'm sitting and drinking my coffee. You move from your table to come and talk to me is different from you walking in and me saying, hi, welcome. It's very different because I'm already finessing you into thinking you want something, right? But if I'm sitting and drinking my coffee, I did not say I want you to approach me, but that's what you do on your own. It's like what I was trying to say. It's like walking into a store and buying a pair of sneakers. The pair of sneakers did not finesse you or manipulate you into buying them. You did that willingly.
No. You are, but how you are, like those pair of sneakers, I'm attracted to them because of what? Their design. They are beautiful. They're like, okay, now this is dope. These sneakers are dope. Like, okay, the price. You see, so Luana, with your Gucci head,
need to consider all factors here,
I'm
guys.
like, wow, this is nice. Okay, I like.
And
At the end of the day, we are attracted to beauty.
Okay, fine. If you are attracted to beauty, did I manipulate you? I get we're trying to figure out the
In a way.
Wow.
Wait. There's a video on TikTok that was going around, I think around women, where women were actually displaying themselves without makeup and with makeup.
What we are not going to do.
We're not gonna go deeper into that.
Yeah.
But just that alone is a factor on its own.
No.
Now, wait. Here's the part where I'm getting at.
No.
Here's the part where I'm getting at.
No.
What AK is what AK is trying to explain is this: whether or not you are approached is determined by the mutual agreement between the two of you. You just said that you dictate the terms. Okay, you want us to have hanky-panky? It's okay, you can have hanky-panky. It depends on what you have to say, what I have to say, what we both can agree on before we can start doing it. Nothing's stopping from a woman, even though she's approached, to say, look, dude, how much do you earn?
Yeah.
This is what I want.
For instance, it's like an age. They say it's rude to ask a lady
Her age.
But for us, Evelyn, how old are you?
Oh,
I think, you know what, that's not wrong. But going back. No, let me explain. A woman saying Onwana is, you can say it also. You can say it also. A woman, if you ask a woman her age and she doesn't want to disclose her age, you can say, you know what? I don't like it when someone does this. You can remove yourself from situations. The type of responsibility that you guys put on women is insane. Because you're saying, if a woman puts on makeup and she looks pretty, then it's my fault that you are coming to me. Which is not true.
No, you have already laid the bait. That's the thing.
No.
For instance, when you dress up in the morning,
very interesting.
you have a target. Oh, there's that guy. I want that one guy to see me. That one guy.
Okay.
And
Guys,
I don't recognize.
real talkers, we have two
So
women.
who
Wait.
empowers the prostitution community and career?
It's pimps.
No, it is not pimps.
We just lie and at the end of the day.
It's not. Okay, fine. Let me. Clear question. If AK has just piles and piles of episodes, right? You have piles of episodes, you post them, and no one views them. Is anything going to happen? Nothing's going to happen. There will be, you can't monetize your channel, you can't do this and that and the other. Why? Because there are no clients. Thank you. So how do you kill the prostitution industry? How do you kill it?
And it's true.
By not professionalizing it. Secondly, by not endorsing it.
Yeah.
It goes back to this thing of what it actually endorses once it is professional. It's a different.
I want to come to something.
I'm going to agree with that.
There's certain individuals in society. Hey, get up straight.
Mara AK, I'm going to agree. I'm going to agree with the lady here, which is I wanna in most cases, Bushuman, it's ridiculed. That means if you're a guy and you can't even get one girl, it's classified as Bushuman, right?
The problem is the conversations that men have.
I
think the root.
The pressure is what?
The root. Let's just look at the root of all of this. First of all, your experience, your sexual experience with any human being should not be disclosed. You said in the beginning of this conversation.
A man doesn't kiss him down.
You said munna osha ayetse Mara munna oyetse. That's what he's supposed to do. But what do you all do? You sit, you discuss.
It's more like y'all.
Ooh.
Y'all also do that.
Women talk, guys.
And y'all do it worse.
Women talk.
No, that's not even-
And women become extremely curious. And when a woman is curious, she's at her most dangerous.
Yeah.
But going back to the actual topic,
Okay.
what endorses and what encourages and what pushes and keeps
I think it's
alive?
both parties.
No.
Because at the end of the day...
wait.
No.
So what happens? Okay, so what happens? You just mentioned now that even if AK posts a lot of videos and
Yes,
episodes,
if no one views them,
right? So
it's just like, okay, let me be practical. It's just like a racist person.
so wait.
If a person is racist to me behind closed doors and I don't even give it the time of day, I kill your entire movement. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
You cannot get any further than me. I'm not going to give you attention. I'm not going to give you a hashtag. I'm not going to give you a share.
I get it, but don't forget, Corey, within these industries, there are women who are doing this to survive too.
That's
so by
true.
not endorsing it, you are taking food out of someone's mouth at the end of the day. Let's be realistic.
Quite a mouth. but okay, let's be honest, guys, and I'm going to be honest with this, nah? You're right. Even though I was playing devil's advocate, just so that we can get deeper into the topic, there's one thing that you mentioned, which we can both agree upon, which is you have the final say in terms of your body, regardless of in terms of how much men actually come and approach you and be like, I will pay you 10 for something. It doesn't change the fact that you have the final say in saying, okay, it's okay, let's do this. Now, in South Africa, we've been having cases where mothers started exercising and teaching kids at a very young age.
It's more like
the very same profession. Yes, the very same profession of joining in. I won't lie. All these forced marriages that occurred that ended up in gender-based violence and all these things are mothers forcing their children to engage in something that they are not ready for.
I think saying mothers is one-sided. We could just say families and parents.
But sometimes,
because fathers always also play.
Okay. We can generalize it as much as we can, but it doesn't change the fact that in most cases, by professionalizing this thing, it's actually going to do more damage than good. Because now, I remember there was this one time where SAP has actually made an arrest of a couple of people who were actually teaching children and practicing children on becoming sex workers and all these things, because they were going to make ends meet at the expense of someone else. Now, when she grows up, what kind of norm does she grow up to? And it makes you wonder the depth of this thing. How many things are actually going to unravel by professionalizing this? How many human trafficking cases are we going to have? Because you're not going, even though you do professionalize it, you may kidnap a girl child in South Africa and start using her in a different country.
Why we are saying go for it like as a count, prostitution should not be legalized or professionalized.
It shouldn't be, because we already have a pandemic that's called gender-based violence.
But let's check this out, Anne. They are certain countries that have already implemented this, whereby like prostitution is legal.
Okay, let's look at the countries.
We can copy some of these policies, which is something we've been doing with some of these legislatives that are there.
Right. I have no problem with that, AK. But the big question is,
because bear in mind, the prostitution industry right now can actually contribute more to our economy in terms of tax and everything. Because right now the government is actually losing money because of these things are illegal activities. They can't tax them.
Okay, I understand where you're getting at, but for the mere fact that you're mentioning other countries, we need to ask ourselves the standard and class of those countries. Are they first world countries or third world countries? The moment you legalize something in a first world country, you must know that in that particular country, people have enough money to just seek entertainment alone. In South Africa, we do not. That's why we start wondering, even if we do pass this thing legislatively, if there is such a word, but the question becomes the practicality of it. Is it just as possible? The last time we did an episode with TCS about polygamy and polyandry, we said they can pass it. But the question becomes, how practical is it really going to be within a household? You understand?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, by and coming back to your point of making it, when you started mentioning the book, The Manipulated Man, and whether honest and dishonest prostitutes, because we had this conversation before. I remember one time where I was actually making a statement, and there were certain reactions that you made. And these reactions made me think about the authenticity of the book in general. For an example, and by the way, guys, we have two ladies here. We have two ladies here. We had this discussion, and right now we're just doing the actual formality of talking about this topic. And if they both disagree, maybe Tabs will turn the camera around and show the other lady's reaction or something.
I should just comment.
Or she'll just comment. Either way, it's fine. But here's the reaction that we should expect. When AK started mentioning this thing of a guy's appearance counts first. Ladies, let's be honest. Does it count? True or false? When he enters the room,
It
does it count? Don't answer. You'll get hit.
Nah, you can see by the smile.
They'll hit you. They'll hit you. Does it count? Does it count?
For me,
biggest tattoo.
personally, it does.
Right. Then let's say the looks is charged. It's charged.
That's the point I was making.
It's charged. Yes, it's charged. Now this guy approaches you. You don't want him near you. You don't want him near you.
Those looks are gonna be
You like Chonga Chomi. Oh yes, he's coming.
like you'll even take out your phone, like maybe pretend like you're busy something.
And
we
then
all know.
you come to a realization as you start. You're like, let me just humor this dude. As ugly as he is, let me just humor him. And you start to realize that apart from his appearances and everything, he's well established. CEO of a well-renowned company, probably even in South Africa or something like that. Well established, has everything that he's looking for except one. Then shortly after that, then he's like, so yeah, this, that, in, whatever, and so on and so forth. And that time, mind you, you're a lady, you're in a place like that, but let's be honest, life isn't showing any favor in terms of finance. Life isn't showing any favor in terms of finance. That's why I'm saying I'm playing devil's advocate. Like I really love it. Life isn't showing any favor. Then comes Mr. Steve Harvey with the 90-day rule. Don't give the cookie after 90 days.
That rule applies to broke niggas, that rule, I'll be honest. If you broke,
now.
It's not true.
The 90-day rule probation is passed. Guy has all the money, does not mind spending whatever money it is, whatever amount it is he wishes to spend. At that point in time, when you give him exactly what he wants, is it a mutual agreement, a transaction, and above all, does it make you any different from a prostitute or not?
This was fun. I'm so excited to answer this. So, first, let's put this down. Let's lay it on the table. Everyone has a preference, yes? Okay. Me growing up, Agani went to high school together, we went to primary school together. I've never been. When I was younger, I was no one's preference. I was the dark, skinny, dizzy girl. Just there was a lot happening with me. You understand?
We're still growing up.
Yeah, you understand? And I was no guy's preference. Right?
How sure are you?
And that was okay.
How do you know?
That's what I mean.
How do you know? That's the thing.
Okay, so I was never approached. Okay, moral of the story, I wasn't approached. Right? And that was the thing. Because back then, maybe to now, the thing was thick, light-skinned girls. Or skinny, light-skinned black girls. Or colored girls. Or this type of a girl, right?
So back then it was dependent on the complexion.
No, the type, the preference. No, let's make it a preference. It was a preference for guys.
She's scary.
Guys' preference to this day, the first thing that you look at is how a woman looks. That's after a conversation. After a conversation, you do not see me and say, "Wow, I think she's smart." That's not what you say.
No, it does happen like that sometimes.
Me standing in a queue, never uttering a word. You say you
sometimes
think
your energy, the energy sometimes, you know.
Let's just leave AK out of it. Wow, maybe he's a special case. We don't know. But let's just say, okay, fine. Guys' preference have always taken, they've always influenced and impacted how women feel and look. For a very long time, that's always been a thing, right? I remember bathing Kajik
Yeah?
To some extent, yeah. I would like literally because I was trying to be light skinned because I wanted to be desired. I wanted to be wanted like that in that extent. Because that's the effect that your guys' preference as men, as guys, as teenagers at that time. That's the impact that they had on me. Right? Fine, that's okay. I accepted it, I let it go, I learned to love myself for who I am, and everything changed for me. Yes? Fine.
And now these guys are flocking.
And then, no, not
They are here, like, yeah.
You will not answer that question. It's private and confidential. You get arrested for it.
And that is fine. Men still have that physical appearance preference. We all respect
No,
it.
that's Babi song.
But I mean for women. I mean,
Okay.
guys want to have a
Okay.
beautiful woman, and then,
Yes.
you know, to some extent, guys don't even like a girl with short hair. You know, to some extent, there are
Okay.
some guys that don't want that. Fine. We accept it. We respect it as society. Some of us conform to it. We try to reach that standard. It's fine. The problem that I have is men have a problem with women having their preference.
Okay.
Just because your brain manipulated you into only having a preference, a physical preference on women, should not impact my preference.
Okay.
If my preference is someone who is financially secure, respect me as the man that would prefer a light-skinned woman, because those are two preferences from two different genders. Respect my preference. Don't judge it. Don't try to criticize it, because I didn't judge you. When your preference was Tulipongola, I did not judge you. I accepted it. I encourage you. Go for it. Do it. Yes, team you and your type, right? My type is a financially secure person. Why is that a problem for men? Why is it that men can have a preference but women can't? Just because y'all don't have a preference of a successful woman doesn't mean I can't have a preference for a successful man.
I get where you're getting at.
And
but
it's not being
still-
a gold digger, by
but
the way.
It's still.
It's
What
not.
is it?
I feel as
It's
though
a
you haven't-
preference.
But I feel as though you haven't reached the point where you actually answered my question. Because again, I'm going to rephrase this question. Maybe you have, and I didn't pay attention to it. But what I'm saying is, how different is it being taken out on dates, being given menus that don't even have a price tag on the right-hand side of the section?
Okay.
You know, I once told...
Just the bill will tell you
I once told...
how much you actually spend.
I once told Chapelo, I didn't a our page. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a page and everything. I was like, you know, at the end of the day, there's no man or sapechi.
Let's get to Mubejo.
You know, wait. Let's not get too bad.
Oh,
Let's kill it all. Let me
Why?
wait, okay. I
Okay.
like this. Let me explain. Okay. We are in a very uncomfortable place as a society when it comes to joint or dating relationships, right?
Okay.
And the first thing that I was put as a factor is the Western ways of living. I don't know if you remember being a pusher of the narrative of going back
yeah.
to how Africans lived.
Yeah.
So this takes us back to the topic of prostitution and it being professionalized. The first thing you need to ask yourself is, where did prostitution start?
Okay.
And what was the reason?
Yes, it did not start here. When I was doing my mini research, the first place it started was in Egypt. But it started getting clout and, pushed, and it started getting a lot of attention when the Greeks started influencing it.
Okay.
And started making it seem like it's an okay thing.
Okay.
It's a cool thing, and then it became a narrative that was pushed around the world.
Okay.
Why it would be so uncomfortable for us is because we don't know it as that. Remember, prostitution is kind of a mockery of how the black demographic or how black people lived. You understand? Like I said at first, Hale, men knew in the morning, I wake up, I leave, go look for food. My woman is going to take care of my household and my kids. I'm going to come back kashebo by lodge. But now because everything has been feminized, I don't know if that's a word.
Yo.
You understand? Everything now has a certain term, kuhubeja. You understand?
Okay.
It has no... My dad says it's taking care of his wife. He doesn't say "Ubeja mama."
Okay, I'm gonna.
No,
ask
my
you a
dad.
question.
No,
Okay,
my dad.
okay,
You
I
understand what I'm saying?
Like,
I'm gonna
that's
get,
how
I'm
he
gonna,
prefers to.
she already ignited the question, so I'm just gonna let her finish, and then I'm gonna ask a question.
Okay,
afterwards,
don't
okay?
prepare me for your attack.
It's
okay. I can take it.
She thinks that I'm actually attacking her on a constant basis, and I'm
joking.
not.
I'm joking. But yes. So my dad says whenever he does something for my mom, he's taken care of. Now the problem is everything that used to be black was broken down to show us how it is either snags or it's wrong
Or inappropriate.
or inappropriate or or disrespectful or just the worst. And now that's why you find women being more masculine. I don't know if you remember me saying that.
I remember.
But
Yeah.
women are more
That's
masculine
this
and women are more feminine. And now when Akan, let's just say Akan is my boyfriend, and I am very masculine in the relationship and you are very feminine. And you will always feel out of place and I will always feel out of place in this day and age. So I will feel unfulfilled in a certain way, so will you. Until the roles that we need to take, not even because of what society has told us, it's in our genetics. As a man and a woman, we're not built the same.
For instance,
What I can
men
endure...
want to be providers. In these
Exactly.
cases.
Exactly.
It's like in our natural instinct.
It's the natural law, yes.
Exactly. It's not, it's
something
not...
like automatically you can earn more money than me.
Yes.
But I still want to provide while
Exactly.
I know for like you are earning maybe 6 figures more than me.
Exactly. And if we take it and modernize it, when the rapper and the singer Beyonce and Jay-Z, because those are mothers and fathers, mom and dad, for the black community, they asked Jay-Z in an interview the moment Beyonce became a billionaire. And he wasn't. He became a billionaire after his wife. They asked him, who pays on a date? He said, he wouldn't say who, but he would say, my wife's purse is always far, my car is closer. So he's the one that's footing the bill. He knows his role and he fulfills it, and that's what encourages him to do more or to want to do more. Now Beyonce knows her role as a woman, which will encourage the gratitude that I show to my boyfriend. Let's just say Akani is paying for my nails and my hair every month. The gratitude that I show to you is going to stroke your ego to a certain extent. It's going to push you to want to do more because you like the feeling of me.
It's more like the
being
more I see you smile, like when I'm busy,
the more you want to
buying
do
those
it.
gifts, it's the more I want to do it. Like,
Exactly.
it gives me that thing, that certain boost, like you're saying,
Exactly.
towards my ego.
Exactly. And that pushes what I want to say when I say men and women can both be prostitutes to each other, even in a relationship. For emotional, for me emotionally, I could be a prostitute. I want you to tell me you love me so much all the time. I love hearing you tell me I'm beautiful, you validating me. You like me stroking your ego all the time, me doing that, and sex becomes, the cherry on top. But men and women can become prostitutes to each other. So that's why when you say prostitution now, it's the woman, it's the pimp. No, because my body parts cannot have intercourse by themselves. You understand what I'm saying? So it's an act from two people, and the blame cannot be laid upon one person just because the manipulated man.
Yeah,
And also, when it says the manipulated men, it's the manipulated M-E-N. M-E-N. Okay? Men is a very broad word because it can also include either it being a female or either it being a man.
It said man with an A.
It said men with an E.
Man with an A.
It said men with an E.
And probably someone is probably looking at me right now and they're like, Nifemi's thinking of something extremely mischievous that he wants to ask, and he has no idea when it would be the right time to ask or something like that.
You can ask.
Now here's the part where it gets tricky. There is a gray area. There's one thing, there's a number of things that Tisoto has mentioned throughout, and I'm like, pin. Taking care of someone is not an obligation in transaction. Right. Now, we need to look at prostitution in a more microscopic sense. It's a mutual agreement, number one.
And there's the transaction that needs to take place.
Right. In a relationship, is it still a mutual agreement?
What?
Relationships. Are they mutual agreements?
What do you mean? Like getting into a relationship?
Being in a relationship.
Yeah.
Consent.
Is it a mutual agreement?
It's a mutual. It has to be a mutual agreement.
It's consent.
It has to be a mutual agreement. If it's consent, then it's going to fail.
Consent based on what? Look, here's what I feel, and here's what I feel. Whenever you get into a relationship, it's no longer mutual agreement. Because the mutual agreement means that at some point it can be severed at any given time. When you guys start preparing for a relationship that could last long term, it's no longer a mutual agreement, it's mutual understanding. And remember...
No, it's mutual understanding that's rooted from a mutual agreement.
Meaning it's
you
further,
can't have him, yeah.
Meaning it's further than just the
no,
agreement
it is
itself.
rooted from. It's like the root, the tree, the branches.
This
Keep
is-
that in mind.
this-
Root,
okay.
tree,
Okay.
branches.
Let me put it
You
this
can't
way.
just have branches.
Let me just put it this way.
Okay.
Let me just put it this way.
Okay.
We both feel the same way for each other.
Mm-hmm.
We both see each other in the same position in each other's lives. Without any transaction. And it's all just based on taking care. Now this means, as a woman has to take care of her man just as much as a man takes care of the woman. You understand? Now, when we revert back to the thing called prostitution, we need to look at it at a very, very microscopic case. Which is, if guys are in prostitution, we cannot doubt that. And it even goes as far as there being LGBTQ kind of prostitutions as well. Now the question is, in the midst of everything that happens at that point in time, who purchases the most? Men or women?
It's men.
It's men, right?
And there are certain...
There's a picture that I had on my phone at some point of, and it's a cartoon drawing, of a woman actually sitting like this on the bed, covered in sheets. And the man is on the bed, but on his knees, standing on his knees, and he's pointing like this. Face is so soft. And the caption is like, the only moment where men start to follow instruction. I repeat. If you didn't get me, I'm going to repeat it. A woman is sitting on the bed. Sorry for standing.
Oh my God, I get it. Okay, I get it.
And it's like, this is the only time where men follow instruction. You like that's how far it goes.
But like you had said at first, taking care of is not an obligation.
It's not an obligation.
Sex in a relationship is not an obligation.
And it brings forth this argument, which is, remove the one thing that men always want from a woman. Everyone knows what men want from a woman.
What do they want, mama? What do they want? When you say all men, what do they want? That's the thing, you know.
You know what? No, we will be brutally honest. Men love and want intercourse. A lot.
Now this
guys, I bet you know, like, women have this tendency. Wait,
no, let me finish what I'm saying.
Can I just finish this too, Ali?
Okay.
Like, women have this tendency of classifying men as people or beings that love sex more. And what we know, Hori,
I think
it's the other way
Let's not
around.
compare who likes it more. Let's just say men like it.
Oh, come on.
Let's just say men are willing to pay for it more than women are. That kind of tells you. That tells you who wants it.
Scientifically,
we are easily available.
Scientifically,
for young, we are easily available.
Scientifically,
that's the thing.
Scientifically,
I'm not
men,
willing to pay anyone.
I want to hear. I don't like agreeing with this person, but I have to agree with her at some point with other things. There's a word that's called testosterone. We as men, the more you have it as a man, the more uncontrollable it becomes.
Shockingly, a man will be single. We all know. Nanotok
Yes, sir.
right?
Yeah. What does it mean?
We know. Everyone knows.
Joke.
No, it's one of the reasons why women in tradition yes, it has that. Exactly.
Stubborn.
That's why.
Stubborn.
It's
You will be single and then you'll eat nyama and know the after effects of nyama and then you're gonna go pay Sophie, and Sophie's gonna tell you, Kia Nyao, the door. You're gonna hear the door, Nyao. You understand? But at the end of the day, I feel like saying that. Okay, prostitution is broad. Also, guys, we need to look at the factors that make people go into prostitution.
Let's go into that.
I had that conversation with my mom in the morning, and I asked her what her take was. And she said sometimes there are people who feel that there's nothing else that they could do. She has to take care of go high.
That's what I
You
was.
understand?
That's the question I posed earlier on.
Can
making livelihoods out of
Yeah,
this thing.
and then but how you but okay.
Can we be under the assumption that it's the easy way out?
It's not easy though.
It is
No,
not
but
easy.
guys, okay.
It is
Okay.
not easy. It is not. There is no woman. Let me tell you something. If a woman ever has sex with a man, and the man says, "Yeah, I was only here for the sex," to come back from that emotionally as a woman, it takes a lot. And for a woman to disrespect you while having sex with you just because they paid for it, it takes a lot for you to put yourself back in that situation again. So it is not, I repeat, it is not the easy way out. It's probably harder than being a terrorist.
I think for me, the reason why I'm saying it is the easy way out, it is primarily because a woman is most dangerous when she knows her body very well. And she knows exactly what her body attracts. You mentioned once when you're saying preference and all these things and so on and so forth. I work at a public area where I see women dressed in all sorts of ways and in different ways. I'm a camel toe, I have hair, and so on and so forth. And in the midst of all that, you see a woman who knows her body so well is the one who oftentimes, even though they say, allow us to dress the way we want to dress, and so on and so forth, it does not change the fact that 80% of the time, when a woman is dressed in a particular way and she knows her, the actual thing that her body, or the kind of people that her body actually attracts, she's at her most dangerous. Because why is that? It's like Akay, for an example. If you know you have cash, you can easily go and buy a table full of ladies just around the streets.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna pop up, and it's because you know the money that you have and the profession that drives that money in. So much so that all you just want to do is just flash money.
Like culture, like what's happening.
Exactly. And now it makes us wonder one particular thing, which is, in the midst of everything, if a woman knows, why I'm saying it's the easy way out, once a woman starts to understand the attraction that her body actually brings, it is easy for her to venture into something that she knows that.
Like my name.
Because I won't lie, you mentioned something which is, when a man starts to behave or violate your body in whatever way he pleases, it strips power from you. At what point do you think power is stripped? The moment you decided to venture into the profession, or the moment a man is actually on top of you? Because I personally feel that it all started the moment you decided you're going to find a better way in drawing money in. Because at the end of the day, it's all about one thing. It's not about sex specifically, it's about money.
I think that it's when the man is on top of you. Let me explain why. At first, when you're making a decision, you ever made a decision and thought it was a smart decision? Until the consequences of the decision. Exactly. That's literally how it is. or at least that's what I believe. But also, I think we shouldn't class out the people that go into sex work from being kids that were molested, because there are cases of young girls that were molested and they believe that that's all they're good at.
That's one factor.
Yeah, and now they go into this industry thinking, well, my uncle did that, so I guess that's all I'm good for. You understand what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, so...
let's just take like a quick break, because I can even see like, time is moving, but to hit conclusions and everything. So let's just take a quick break. We'll be back after the short break. And to the real talkers out there, the question is still on the table, like, do you think that prostitution should be made legal in SA? And like, what would be like the advantages and the disadvantages of like legalizing it or making it like a professional industry? Hit us up on our social media platforms. You can do so on Instagram at Real Talk with AK and on Twitter at Real Talk with AK. Or you can also use the hashtag Real Talk with AK. Or you can leave a comment under the comment section. But apart from that, we'll be back after our short break. And we're back again from our mini break. Hey, please don't forget to subscribe and follow us there, man. Hey, we need those likes and follows there, man. Hey, we are still growing at the end of the day. And by the way, we are also available on Patreon. You can join our community by becoming a member on Patreon. You can visit patron.realtalkwithak.com to do so, man. You'll even get like the merchandise and exclusive content when you are there. But apart from that, guys, I have like one final question for you before we conclude our episode, man. It's been an interesting one, this one, It's always like a pleasure having both of you like on the podcast, So you see what I deal with on a daily basis. So like, okay, guys, there's this thing like usual, and I've also seen posts on Facebook, like Twitter, where like even our grandparents, our parents say so too, like sex is a spiritual thing. And it's more like they say like it ties souls. So let's bring this back to the prostitution industry. Here's a female who's a provider, a sex worker. That person has sex with like maybe, let's just say 15 plus different people in a day. But these people go from maybe 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. until midnight usually. So like, I would like to find out like your perspective, guys. How do you think like this affects like their spiritual life at the end of the day? Because it does play a role.
I think that anything that attacks the spirit attacks the physical or manifests into the physical. Remember, there was a conversation that was once had by spiritual healers, and they're speaking on a miscarriage. A woman that has a miscarriage or an abortion. You understand? If I have an abortion and I sleep with you, knowing what I did, and I have no cleansing ceremony of any kind, acknowledging the child and like the procedure that I have to follow.
What's all venda kada? As that venda nigga
Yes. So if I do that, I have an abortion and I don't even disclose it to anyone. I have sex with you and me having that abortion on its own is not acknowledging what I did. I killed something. You understand? That comes with it. Yeah, that comes with its spirits. You know what I mean? The anger from you know
to get cleansed apparently.
Exactly. Now, Now, even men, if I was pregnant with your child and I aborted your child, the snyama that I have is the snyama that you have.
Even when you are mourning.
If Akani has no snyama of any kind and I'm the prostitute that aborted your child and he sleeps with me, what I did with that child is going to affect Akani. And Akani is going to affect his girlfriend when he goes to sleep with the girlfriend after he has slept with me. So, and then we wonder why things don't go according to our plans.
Y'all are hating us. Stop with this thing, guys. You see, now it becomes a strings of pattern. It goes from this one to this one to this one.
No, but men are carriers and women are receivers. Let's also keep that in mind. if I am just at home doing nothing, I will receive whatever it is that you carry from wherever you come from. Sex is also an exchange of energies. Remember that.
Spiritual.
Exactly, even on the spiritual front. So just be very mindful of that act on its own. Remember, even in the Bible, if we quote the Bible, there are 2 types of deaths. How I view it is, there is the death of you could die while you're still living.
Yeah, spiritual death.
Yeah, you understand? So if you sleep with me, with my dead spirit, I am going to affect your spirit. It's going to be a battle between your spirit and mine. And whichever side wins, wins. But I will always affect anytime you have any form of intercourse with anybody.
So, what should we think, like, for them, like, sex workers, they are doomed? That's, anyway.
To a
Because,
certain
like,
extent.
for instance, right now, maybe, a gangster pulls through. He buys.
He killed people.
A sangoma comes, he buys, he passes. Pastor comes, he buys, he passes. Why are you laughing?
They are taking.
Yeah.
You know, they are
But-
leaving and they are taking.
But
They are leaving
guys,
and taking.
here's the thing that I guess it's something that I'm questioning right now. We've all heard this term called soul ties. Soul ties is a tie between two people, right? Soul to soul, not soul to souls.
No, soul to soul.
It's singular between two people and not plural. The question becomes, when you start mentioning things that are spiritual, I mean, even at the time, I won't lie, there was someone who actually warned me. I'm a dude. Ideas pop into my head. And he was like, you need to be careful who you sleep with. Because at some point, it's going to, whoever you sleep with, you're not only sleeping with them, but you're sleeping with the actual person who they just left behind.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder at what point it is. Now, whenever we're referring to soul ties, I guess we'll touch it into detail
On the second segment,
part.
but it's one of the reasons when it comes to mourning, like for women, after maybe like there's a reason why a woman is supposed to mourn when they lose a husband.
Now, when it comes to the actual spirituality of these things, you need to look at where two souls start to tie first. And I'm thinking that we are having a misconception in thinking that sex is the beginning and end of everything. Because we start to normalize this thing that, for an example, right now we are under the impression that in order for me to know the car that I'm driving, I first need to test drive it. And in so doing, I first have to sleep. with the girl.
Sex on the first date, especially these days. That's how it is.
It determines this thing of whether
if
we'll
this
vibe
relationship is
or
going
not.
to work.
Because if it is doomed within the bedroom, it's going to be doomed in other areas as well. And we
once it fails in the bedroom, I mean, just know.
Yeah, but I'm referring to a relationship. But when we're talking about the actual thing of prostitution in general and all these things, we need to look at what we are engaging in, what we're getting ourselves into spiritually before we actually start to be like, I don't mind doing this because it's okay. There's this one time I remember bumping into a guy called Luke. And he told me about all the friends that he had who were actually into drugs. I know I'm diverging a bit, but he was like, we're into drugs and all these things. And here's what I actually told him. I'm like, we have a notion that, in thinking that, just because the addiction of drugs is happening to other people, it will not happen to me. Because I know I already have an escape plan into something of which you haven't actually been convicted into. And ultimately, once they start becoming consumed by these things, they do not know or have a way out. And it's primarily because we start losing accountability in most cases. So when it comes to the spiritual element, it can be deeper. We can dwell into it. But all I can say is that in the midst of everything, whether you start using protected or unprotected sex with prostitute or not, you need to understand that it's more than just intercourse that comes into play. Even friction between two bodies is an exchange of
that thing is
between
it's
two
degrading, guys. guys. I won't lie.
That's why the question I asked at first was, at what point does a woman start reaching that conclusion that this is the way to go? Does she lose her dignity the moment she concludes it and say, I will do this, even though she's mounted by
Sometimes it doesn't come at the price of the woman's dignity. But we will talk more on that. But yeah.
But apart from that, guys, thank you for the lovely convo, for the lovely vibes. Hey, even though we started a little bit late because let's say South Africa and load shedding. But that's a topic for another day. But apart from that, guys, it's been an honor, it's been fun having you all on the show. And to the real talkers out there, and we are out, guys. Thank you.
Stop copying me.